I never thought I'd reveal this, yet life has a knack for plunging you into the unforeseen. I am Margaret, 64 years young. 4 years I've navigated the challenges of motherhood, raising my son on my own. Daniel is 22 now. We've shared everything, two souls navigating the storm together, lifting each other through every high and low. One night, everything changed. Daniel's weary eyes spoke volumes as he whispered he felt unwell. He had been pushing himself, studying relentlessly. Then, unexpectedly, he was offered a chance to rest on my bed. It was a chilly night in our home and warmth felt distant. I draped the heavy blanket over him. First, it felt ordinary, a mother caring for her son. As I lay beside him, his warmth enveloped me, drawing him nearer. He sought warmth, and I brushed it off until he rested quietly beside me. For a moment, it reminded me of the years when he was just a boy seeking comfort after a bad dream. Surprise flickered, but I chose to let it go. He was likely craving solace. His warmth enveloped me, his steady breath a soothing rhythm in the stillness. Daniel's breath faded, a whisper of slumber taking hold. The silence enveloped me, each heartbeat echoing in the stillness. It was odd yet soothing. I stayed still, unwilling to disrupt him, convincing myself it was merely a mother comforting her child. He shifted again, inching closer beneath the blanket. His arm tightened around me, and I froze, caught in a whirlwind of uncertainty. A part of me yearned to escape, yet another part remained frozen in place. A palpable tension hung in the air, inexplicable and consuming. I felt this way, and then everything changed. In an unexpected twist, I felt him shift awkwardly beneath the blanket, his movements startling me in the stillness. It hit me out of nowhere, and my heart pounded wildly. I fought to keep my composure, reminding myself he was merely my son. Perhaps he was unaware of it all along. I lay there, battling the rising tide of emotions within me. I told myself it was just a fleeting moment, an awkwardness that would soon fade. As the minutes ticked away, a stark realization hit me. Everything had changed, and I was lost in how to cope. Daniel lingered near, his breath calm, yet the heat between us crackled as we grew closer. I longed to say something light-hearted to ease the tension, but the words eluded me, trapped in that moment, lost in a whirlwind of confusion and emotion. In that moment, Daniel moved, raising his gaze to meet mine. His eyes were a gentle embrace. Daniel's gaze was unlike anything I'd ever encountered, a mix of safety and unease that left me breathless. Unspoken yet palpable, his gaze alone pierced through the silence, demanding the truth behind my facade. I forced a smile, clinging to hope. Promised relief, yet deepened the haunting silence. Daniel's hand gripped my arm, warm, soft, unwavering. His hand brushed mine unintentionally, and I tensed, unsure why the silence felt so heavy. Such a tiny gesture, yet each touch ignited a fire within. There was a part of me that remained unspoken. I held my breath, steadying myself, desperate to hide the frantic beating of my heart from him. Lost in the moment, I lay there, overwhelmed by the intensity of our strange connection. In that silence, I convinced myself it was merely a mother soothing her son, yet beneath the blanket, everything shifted. Thoughts whirled in my mind, unsettling and inescapable. He was there, and as I lay beside him, an unexplainable depth of connection surged within me. Confusion and warmth collided within me, an unexpected sensation that froze me in place. Daniel remained oblivious to my pain. He lingered by my side, his hand gliding gently, a soothing presence that felt utterly instinctive. His breath steady, eyes shut tight. I questioned if he was drifting into slumber, but then his hand moved, a slow, deliberate shift. A chill raced up my arm as he opened his eyes, locking onto mine. There was something unspoken in his eyes, a quiet confusion I couldn't decipher, yet deeply recognized. If I felt the same strange pull, I whispered his name, struggling to form the word. I wish to end this as well. He leaned in, then pulled away, but I couldn't create the distance between us. Tension between us crackled, a silent storm brewing beneath the surface. In the silence, we remained mute, yet the air crackled with unsaid truths, emotions we sensed but couldn't voice. He leaned in as if drawn by an invisible force closer. My heart raced, my mind spun, yet I couldn't pull away. I was torn, trapped between being his mother and the unsettling emotions that had emerged. He leaned in and my breath hitched. All thoughts vanished, leaving just that electric moment between us. Daniel's hand lingered on my shoulder, fingers trembling, caught in a moment of uncertainty. The world faded away. All that mattered was his warmth, the rhythmic thump of his heart echoing in my mind. I shut my eyes, seeking calm. I urged myself to retreat from the overwhelming closeness, but then his hand brushed a strand of hair from my face, igniting a storm within me. A simple gesture, yet it pierced my heart, leaving me in a whirlwind of unexplainable pain. My eyes fluttered open, and there he was, gazing at me with a tenderness that pierced through the air. His face was so near, every detail vivid. The tiny freckles, the soft curve of his lips, the way his eyes sought mine, filled with unspoken emotions. His gaze held a vulnerability that mirrored mine, revealing his own sense of being lost. We were both caught in this moment, suspended in silence, as if time had ceased to exist. A storm of questions raged within me, doubt clawing at my thoughts, yet my body remained frozen. I was captivated by him, this child I had nurtured, yet he seemed like a stranger. Just as I believed we would remain suspended in that silence forever, Daniel pulled back, shattering the spell. He averted his gaze, a hint of embarrassment flickering across his face as a shaky laugh escaped him. Rubbing the back of his neck, I was jolted back to that moment, realizing the depth of our closeness, the weight of what we had shared. Crashed down, overwhelming. I inhaled sharply, battling the overwhelming tide of emotions crashing within me. I prayed he hadn't seen the storm raging within me. "Sorry, Mom," he murmured, his voice trembling with doubt, each word heavy with emotion. "I never intended for it to become awkward. His voice faltered. Frustration etched on his face as he fought to find the words for feelings that eluded him. I reached out, my hand on his, a quiet reassurance and a gentle squeeze that spoke volumes more than words could convey. "Daniel, is it really okay?" I spoke gently, my voice unwavering, even as doubt churned inside me. "We're both feeling lost, just the two of us for so long. Complications arise, and it's heavy. Is it all right to feel lost?" He nods, eyes locked in a haunting gaze. His hands trembled, eyes lost in shadows, a heavy gaze that pierced my soul, igniting a deep ache in my heart. Through what felt like forever, he finally lifted his gaze to meet mine. His gaze held a storm of emotions, uncertainty, frustration, longing, and an unnamed intensity that felt profoundly different. It wasn't merely frustration or confusion. Something deeper lingered in the air, something raw, unspoken. "I was lost," my response caught in my throat. His voice, a whisper, barely reached me, yet the words pierced through the silence. He seemed terrified to acknowledge it, yet equally scared to face what had been brewing between us. His words pierced me, revealing a depth of pain I hadn't anticipated. In that instant, I grasped the weight of his struggle. The ache of my heart mirrored the confusion in his eyes. In that fleeting instant, I wished I could reach out and bring us back to simpler times when comfort didn't feel so complicated. I longed to hold him tight, to whisper that everything would be all right, to promise we'd face this together. But doubt gripped me. Would my comfort truly help or only deepen the chaos? His needs were a mystery, and I questioned whether my urge to comfort him was the right choice. I stayed silent, letting the weight of the stillness between us echo with unspoken truths. I sat, heavy with unspoken words, tension crackling in the air, waiting for the moment to shatter the silence. At last, after endless moments, I inhaled sharply, examined my reflection, and faced him head-on. I gazed into his eyes, desperate for a glimpse of his truth, sensing the weight of what he sought from my leaning. "Perhaps it's time to pause and deeply reflect on it all," I sighed, searching for the perfect words, a delicate dance of comfort and empathy. "Closeness is comforting, yet solitude can be essential for clarity," whispers of the mind. "We don't need all the answers now," He nodded slowly, as if the weight of my words was sinking in. But then, in an unexpected movement that caught me off guard, he leaned. He leaned his head on my shoulder. And though the gesture was familiar, the silence between us felt loaded with everything unspoken. There was a tension beneath the surface that I couldn't ignore, a quiet recognition that things between us had changed in ways we hadn't fully understood yet. My heart softened at the touch, and without thinking, I wrapped my arm around him, pulling him close in a way that felt protective and comforting. It was an embrace that offered safety, even though I knew the questions lingering between us were far from being answered. There was so much unspoken, so many emotions we hadn't fully processed yet. But in that moment, I realized that maybe we didn't need all the answers right now. We could take it step by step, figure it out together, even if the path ahead felt uncertain and complicated. As we sat there, holding on to each other, I felt a sense of quiet calm wash over me. There was a soft, unspoken hope that lingered in the air, that no matter what we were facing, no matter how difficult things might seem, we could still find a way through this together. We stayed like that for a while, wrapped in silence. In that moment, the quiet between us brought an odd calm, like two souls sitting in the ruins of something fragile. For a brief moment, it felt as though the confusion and complexity of our situation might dissolve simply by being near each other. But I knew deep down that it wasn't that simple. The comfort of his presence was undeniable, but beneath that warmth there was an undercurrent of unease, a feeling neither of us could fully shake off. After a while, Daniel pulled away slightly, lifting his head and meeting my gaze. His expression had shifted, a serious intensity. "Mom, I don't know what to do with all these feelings," he said quietly, his voice laced with uncertainty. "I don't want to make things harder between us, but I can't just ignore it either." His words lingered in the air, thick with unspoken tension, like a question that he didn't have the courage to voice. The weight of his silence pressed down on me, and I swallowed hard, my mind racing in frantic circles as I scrambled to find the right words. I opened my mouth, but before I could say anything, there came another knock at the door. We both jolted at the sound, startled by the interruption, raised, locking in surprise and uncertainty. The knock was firm, deliberate, almost as if the person on the other side sensed something was amiss and needed to break through whatever was hanging between us. A wave of nervous energy washed over me, and without thinking, I stood up and walked to the door. When I opened it, Stephen was standing there once again, his face clouded with concern, as though he had been weighing something heavy in his mind. "Hi," he said, his voice laced with genuine worry. "Sorry to bother you. I just wanted to check if everything was okay. You seemed a bit off earlier, and I wanted to make sure you're all right." I hesitated for a moment, then glanced over my shoulder at Daniel. He was watching us closely, his expression unreadable. There, between us, charged with unspoken questions. I took a deep breath, trying to steady my voice, though it trembled slightly as I answered, "Thanks, Stephen, but we're fine. Just having a quiet evening." Stephen gave me a long, searching look, then turned his gaze to Daniel. His eyes lingered on him, thoughtful and probing, before returning to me. He nodded slowly, though something in his demeanor suggested he wasn't fully convinced. "All right," he said, his tone softening. "Just remember, I'm next door if you need anything. Don't hesitate." When he turned and left, I closed the door with a quiet click and leaned against it for a moment, gathering my thoughts. I turned back to Daniel, who was still standing there, watching me with an intensity that made my skin prickle. His eyes seemed to pierce through me, searching for something, for the truth, perhaps, or for reassurance. After a long pause, he stood up, his movements slow and deliberate, and I felt my heart pick up its pace once again. The air between us felt heavy, thick with all the things neither of us dared to say. He moved closer, and I braced myself for whatever words might come next. But when he reached me, he stopped, his expression shifting as though he were battling some internal struggle. Maybe we shouldn't push this, Mom," he said, his voice quiet, trembling just a little. "Maybe we need time to think." His words hit me like a wave, and I nodded, my own heart aching with the same conflicted emotions he must have been feeling. I understood the need for space, for time to figure things out. You're right, Daniel, I replied softly, my voice thick with the weight of everything unsaid. We both need to think about everything. We can't rush this. Daniel nodded in agreement, and we stood there in silence, our proximity a strange mixture of closeness and distance, as if we were on the brink of something we couldn't fully grasp or control. Felt like an ending, but also the beginning of something new, something we couldn't quite define yet. As he walked slowly toward his room, I remained rooted to the spot, wondering what the future would hold for us and whether we could find a way forward together or apart. Thank you for staying with us until the end. Before we say goodbye, if you have not yet subscribed, I invite you to press the subscribe button. Your support, even if it seems like a small gesture, means a lot to us and drives us to continue creating content with heart. Don't forget to give it a like if you liked what we shared today, as every interaction helps us grow and allows us to continue connecting with you through stories that matter. Thank you for being part of our community.